Down 3-0, the Colorado Avalanche power their way back and take game one in overtime against the Dallas Stars. Lots to talk about with this one. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, Locked On Avalanche at gmail.com, and follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you are subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. When you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, where we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. All right, sir. We'll probably get to the subtext people tomorrow because it's a little bit late. I know we have some subtext people on the East Coast. Hi. And so they might not be awake right now. I don't know. So we'll get to more subtext responses tomorrow, but we have more than enough to talk about in this episode. Obviously, game one, round two in Dallas, Avs down 3-0. That means nothing to this team. And they do what they've done. They just whittle away and push this thing to overtime. Overtime hockey or overtime playoff hockey is just, there's nothing like it. You're on the edge of your seat with every single possession. The overtime was really dominated by Dallas, but it was Miles Wood who got the drop on a Dallas defender and made a brilliant move from left to right and just got the puck past the skate of a stretched out Ottinger. And there's your game. So thoughts?
My goodness, they had terrible ice all game long. The Avalanche, I can't wait for the advanced stats to see how much time on ice the Avalanche literally spelt on the ice. But it was a wacky game. For talk about high energy. Boy, they are cranking in Dallas. But after the Stars were up 3-0, you never felt defeated or like the game was out. And I jokingly just put out like got them right where we want them, and then it was one of those that it almost felt like the Stars tired themselves out a little bit. They got the emotions, they got going. And it was one of those in that first period. You're just begging, please, intermission, just get here.
You're
We'll
right.
have one of those Pat did Bednar fire up talks, and we could salvage the second, which ironically they did, and the momentum started shifting and things started cleaning up. And honestly, it was very similar to game one of the Winnipeg series.
In what fashion? And how do you say that? Like, what do you think was similar to that game?
And this goes back to a conversation we had earlier about rust versus rest. You mentioned that give them a couple shifts, you'll see that rust start falling off of them. And you saw that going on through the first period. Things started tightening up towards the end of that first period. You could see everybody getting their legs back. And you didn't see so many of those goofy, just to no one passes. That it started cleaning up a little bit. And the Avs just continued playing their game. It's one of those trust the process, I guess, is going to be the motto for this team. It's just don't give up on this team. Yes, Georgiev let up 3, but that's it. Don't give up on this pressure and what they're doing. Just allow them to work. And the Avs didn't seem phased. Like Mikko took some bad penalties out of frustration. Yeah. But other than that, the Avs just continued on like they did, and it paid off.
And I, as far as like the rust goes, like I didn't really feel like that it was there. I think it's easy for people to say like, oh, they're rust. They gave up 3 goals. And I wasn't even angry about the goals. I didn't feel like they were shots that, like, all 3 of them. Dallas was doing very good at getting traffic in front of Georgiev. The first one that was Suter, like nobody was on him. No. He was wide open, and you saw Sean Walker kind of like you want me to go get him? Because that's not where I'm supposed to be. And he kind of like didn't know if he should commit. People, they were out of place. And that was that goal. Then they had the 5-on-3. What are you going to do there? Right. And then there was one that was right off of the face off. And that one looked like it got like a little bit of deflection, just enough to throw off Georgiev. I wasn't angry about any of those goals. You had Josh Manson prevent a fourth goal at the end of the first, which was huge, obviously massive to do that. And you're right. I thought the same thing, Kyle. Not that I thought that they were playing poorly in the first, but I was like, get to the first intermission, get to that, because this is your first period back in a week. And then just say, okay, this is what they're doing. Let's, continue to play our game. What are we seeing? And bam, like, sure, the power plays helped.
Mm-hmm.
It was Mikko, I thought had a really rough first. He had those 2 penalties from him. But with the Avs, 5 shots on goal in the first. So yes, do I call it rust? No, I guess if some people can say like, no, that's rust. Okay. I don't know a different word for it, but they were not on their game. They did have to get their sea legs back. And once they did, Kyle, they dominated this game in the second and third period. Dominated it. And you look at the stats and you look at like shots on goal and you look at what this team was doing. I think there was 10 minutes left in the third and Dallas had 14 shots on goal. Now they amped it up, towards the end of the third, and in overtime, like I said, it was all Dallas. So I think they finished with, let me get my, so they finished with 22. So for the later stages of the third period and in overtime, where they had 6 shots on goal relatively early.
Mm-hmm.
They were peppering Georgiev, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. But I thought the Avalanche really had control of this game outside of the first period. I thought they just continued what they've been doing against Winnipeg. I thought they looked good.
And something that Dallas has been doing and utilizing that Winnipeg did not, and I really liked how Colorado responded, was Dallas would hold Colorado for long shifts and would exhaust them, and they didn't break. And to see them still keep their wits and stick to their guy during those long shifts, you would see Manson, Lehkonen just being out there, just dragging, just hoping to get it out of the zone. And when they do, it's deep enough where you can make a change. And I like seeing them respond to being held out there for such a long duration of time, which has been an Achilles heel for previous Avalanche teams. So seeing them like that first intermission cleanup withstand through the second and third where the pressure was on, and I did not like the defense in the overtime period, but they held on through that too.
Yeah.
And that was really refreshing, and I'd like to see where this goes because they were 2 for 2 on the power play, 1 for 4 when it came to the penalty kill. Like Dallas had 1 for 4. So that's also positive, but that shows the Avalanche are believing in what they're doing, and it's a strong mental game, even though early it didn't look like it.
You could see like the Avalanche, to me, seemed like they refused to carry the puck into the offensive zone. They were dumping and chasing all night long. I know that's part of their game, but when you have guys, your top line on, we're so good with the puck. You're kind of maybe used to a little bit like carry it in, gain the blue line, and then work your offense. They must have felt really confident that we can win battles against the board when we dump it in. And they were like, they were dumping the puck in, chasing, winning the 50-50 battle. But not only that, the guys that were second to get into the zone had to have good positioning. And I just felt like they were. I felt like you get that puck in deep, you win that battle, and then you kick it back out, and then you just start cycling. And they were doing that. So that's clearly like was their game plan. Like they didn't. I can't even remember how many times they carried the puck in. I don't really feel like they did a lot. It was dumping and chasing, and it started to work. It wasn't working, and nothing was really working in the first. But like you said, like this team just kind of sticks with a game plan, and their game plan is always built around speed. But that kind of stuck out to me in how they're wanting to set up their offense. And again, I know they do that a lot, but it just seemed like they were doing that all the time. And even after the first, when it wasn't really working that much, that's where you have to give this coaching staff credit and just be like, we're still, no, that's what we see. That's what we want to do. We just have to execute it better. Go out and execute it better. And like, well, for having power plays, that's not where you got those couple goals, but it was working. They had some good offensive possessions in the second and third. So again, now this is where the chess match comes into play. You see what Dallas is going to do for game 2 to combat that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something they picked up in that Winnipeg series, because that's how Winnipeg had early success against Colorado, was not carrying it across the blue line and dumping. And I feel like when we were talking about this matchup leading in and your crossover with Locked On Stars, it was almost like a mirror matchup with how these two teams played. So Bednar just kind of took a step back and galaxy brained this game plan on Winnipeg found success in dumping it in early on us. We'll do the same to Dallas, and we'll get our foothold there and continue to push. And that's where they found success.
All right, so let's get into some individuals, and we will do that right after the break. First, let's hear from Game Time. It's the authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. And with killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Gotta love things over at Game Time, like priority last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. The flash deals, which we love, the zone deals, your all-in pricing, and of course, the view from your seats, which the way they integrate it into the app, it's just beautiful and seamless. You can't beat it. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Also brought to you by Indeed. There is no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform that you need to build yours. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed is a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. They streamline the hiring with powerful tools that find you matched candidates. And with Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed data in the US. So start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job at Indeed.com/lockedon. Offer is good for a limited time. That's $75 credit now at Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. And if you need to hire, then you need Indeed. All right. Well, let's start with the man who won the game I say won the game as in scored the last goal, because you could say Alexandar Georgiev is the guy that won you this game. But as far as Miles Wood, what an adventure this human being is. And we've talked about him before. And you take the good with the bad. And the only thing that was bad for me was that one penalty he took. I don't know what he was trying to do. I know he was trying to catch the puck, but if you're doing that, just go up with your glove hand.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have to go up with your stick too? Because nothing good happens when you're flailing your stick around and it's eventually kind of come down on a guy's head or face or nose or whatever. And that's exactly what happened. No harm, no foul though, because nothing came out of that power play for the Stars. But still, you're just like, dude, like I love the effort, but just maybe be a little bit smarter. And then he just turns it around and just the Avs, they were on their heels in that overtime. And they so many times you're just like, you got to get the puck out of the zone. and there was just perfect timing for him to be hitting his stride, collecting the pass. Just had a skate stride ahead. I don't know who the defender was. The game just I don't remember who it was. And made a brilliant. He didn't just try to just throw the puck on net. He made a great move going from left to right, and like I said, just tucked it in under the skate of Ottinger, and he's your game winner. I didn't, picking an overtime winner. He's probably way down on the list of who you think is going to get it, but he got it.
He kind of reminds me, for all the Marvel fans and as a DC purist, it chills me to the bone, but he reminds me of Drax. Like, he's just like he could either just like be so literal and just like bumble and rumble his way through things, and then he could come in last minute and just be a hero. And that was the case in that overtime. Like, yes, he's usually in a highlight on his knees, skating on his knees through a play because he's barreled through somebody, or he's adding an additional body or setting something up. He's got great hockey IQ and a confidence in what he brings to the team. But when it comes to needing that goal, he can do it. He's very talented when it comes to that. So him getting that goal, I think that's also going to be beneficial for the rest of the series. Now that he knows he can do it again, let's see him do it one more time.
I mean, he had a couple in the Winnipeg series. I think the first 2 games he scored a goal in each of the first 2 games. So you're finding some offensive ability from him, which sure he has, but it's just you don't know when he's got the puck on his stick. You just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, he's got the speed of Nathan MacKinnon, but he doesn't have the puck handling skills, clearly. But you live with that because his effort is unmatched, and you've seen that. So go ahead.
No, I love what Miles Wood does, and honestly, I like seeing him build this confidence, and I'd like to see him bring that with Ross Colton a little bit, get that working again, and you really like where this team could be going.
Yeah. You had Valenchushkin keeps plugging along in these playoffs. Another goal for him. Tack on an assist for him. So, and when I did the crossover with Joey, that was, kind of like the X factors or the players to watch. He's and you even mentioned it when we were talking about it, 2 days ago now. He's just invaluable to this team. He just what he does is he's the only one on the team that really can play that position and play it the way he does it. And right in the net front, and he's got speed and he's got size, and he's good, handling the stick. Like he's a great defenseman or defender, however you want to word it. And he just keeps rolling along right now, man. Like I don't know who's out there that can really kind of slow him down. And not to use the pun, as he's, we call him the choo-choo train, but he's just on the top of his game right now.
Yeah, a penny on the tracks, I guess, would be the one that slow him down.
Yeah.
But it was funny the way the scoring went. Everybody we asked to step up, it was Nuke, Kale, Nathan MacKinnon, and that's how the scoring went in this game to equalize it up. And then Miles Wood finishes it off. But somebody I want to throw out real quick that we're not going to mention because of anything on the stat sheet, Sean Walker was incredible.
Great.
Absolutely
great game by
incredible.
Sean Walker.
I kept waiting for him to tally an assist or be in a highlight or in a goal. So there was some quantifiable evidence behind this, he was making some of the best hockey decisions and calm, cool, collected in his passing, positioning. I was absolutely enthralled with his game, and I just wanted to give him some stick taps while we had the opportunity.
Absolutely. A very smart, cerebral game from him. Right place, right time, not turning the puck over. He was phenomenal. And not showing up on the stat sheet. It's unfortunate just to get maybe like an assist to say, hey, this shows up. But no, like it doesn't matter that he's got zeros for the stats. He was huge in this game. He played a fantastic game. And you look at time on ice for defensemen, they all had 20 minutes with the exception of Jack Johnson, who was just under 15 minutes. So they were all out there, all doing their thing, even on the forward front. When you go half into overtime, it's going to you're going to add a couple minutes here and there. But let's see. Looks like Duhaime was at 9:18. Wagner was at 8:30-ish. Those are the only guys under 10 minutes. Cogliano was over 11. But again, like, this is the playoffs. You need all four of your lines to be rolling. And once they got going, I thought that was like just picked up where they left off with Winnipeg. Thought they were all good.
Yeah, I felt like the lines were a counterpunch to how they were rolling out Ben and Sagan. You saw a lot of them on the ice, and I felt like once you saw how the lines were being thrown out there, it felt like the fourth line was getting cut off. You could see that with time on ice.
For shifts, and I put this up on Twitter, the Nichushkin, McKinnon, Rantanen line, when it was all said and done, shot attempts for were 26 against, were only 8. That's dominant, dude. That is dominant. That's top line against top line, and they have last change. So, like that is huge. So they're going to put their top line out against yours. That's the benefit of having last change. So, and the Avs are just like, okay, let's do it. They didn't have an answer for him. And the other lines held their own too. Lehkonen, Middlestat, and he was with Parise too. They were 14 for 14. I don't really feel like a line got dominated. There were moments where Dallas had a good shift and kept the puck in the zone, especially in that overtime period. But in the second and third, this was all Avs, and they were rolling lines. Defense was playing great. Georgiev, who we're going to get to in a minute, was solid.
Yeah, I think the only soft spongy part of this team was probably the Manson-Girard D pairing. I felt like that's where Dallas really started getting a foothold every time that D pair was rolled out there. And maybe that could get cleaned up a little bit. But for some reason, they just matched up really well with that D pairing. And I don't know if that's going to be the same going forward, but I just think that was the one weaker spot.
I'm sure it will be. I thought Manson played a good game. I think his speed is going to hurt him, or lack of speed is going to hurt him a little bit in this series. He's got to be smart with the puck because he's not going to outskate guys.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get in one more break and we'll talk about Alexandar Georgiev and then obviously get to our sound check as well. So we'll do that right after this. All right, timeout, pause. We got to talk again about Monopoly Go. And once again, if you're sitting there saying, hold on, you've already talked about that. Once again, it makes me believe that you have not downloaded this game and played it because it is as addicting as Colorado Avalanche hockey. Is it not, my friend?
Oh, I play it all the time, and it's even more fun when I get to challenge Chris and take all his money.
And every time I open the app, it gives you an update of what's happened since the last time you were there. And there's usually Kyle's face just smiling back at me because he stole millions of my money. And I have to just go take it back from him is basically what I have to do. And you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. And the more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get, like unique stickers that you can trade with friends to complete albums for bigger prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, and hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings and heist their vaults. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now. Free on Google Play or the App Store. You will not regret it. Go get it. Game on. I'm curious. I think Stars fans are obviously going to be upset that their team didn't take the first game of this. You don't want to take that first game. You want to. You want to take that first game. I think what they might be hanging their hat on is that embellishment call right towards the end of the third. It's clear as day tripping on Josh Manson. But they also call an embellishment. And that is, to me, always a tough one to call. But they did, and it was a 4-on-4. And that was huge because it was clearly a penalty on Manson. And that would have obviously given Dallas a power play with when that happened. What, there was 5 minutes left or something like that. I mean, it was down to the nitty gritty in the third.
I think it carried over into the third, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was sub 2, and I believe that penalty carried over into the third for like 40 seconds.
Is it that late where I'm not even getting that penalty right when it happened?
But I will give the referees credit. I do kind of agree with the embellishment, because there was like a step or two taken, and he goes down, and the ref calls it right away. Like, he's like staring the whole thing down, and he's just motioning both of them going off.
No, that was in the third. That was late in the third, man. Yeah, I was right. That there was like 5 minutes left in the third when that happened. So that's huge. That is a huge call. I don't know. Like, embellishment to me, I give hockey players the benefit of the doubt. I just don't feel like they're soccer players or NBA players where they're going to make it seem like something that happened to them is worse than it actually happened. And I don't think Hintz did that.
Unless there could be possible blood involved. And then you will see them scratching and biting, trying to get blood for that double minor.
Sure. All right. Sure. I'll grant you that. But I think that's where Stars fans might be hanging their hat today, because that was a big call, because you got to own, blowing a 3-goal lead, though. You have to own that. And the Avalanche seem to have that number against the Stars this year on come from behind victories against Dallas. And in this one, Georgiev was massive. We talked about the 3 goals that Dallas got. And again, I'm not angry about any of them. And he just settled down, didn't seem like he was too rattled, and just got back to work and said, no, I just had a really good first round. I can continue that. And he did. I thought, we always talk about him tracking the puck, and seems to be struggling to do that. I thought he was good, man.
He tracks the puck better now, and he's confident. You could see that, especially after the end of the regular season, game 1, he has flipped on the confidence. And I have never seen anybody in my life make a broken glove look so good in my life. He can't catch a thing in it, but boy, he can make that thing work. He
made a couple saves in it, but you're right, though. Like, when it happened, you're like, holy crap, it didn't bounce out.
Yeah, I know.
Good job. But there was, let me see what we got for, like I said, the shots on goal were heavily favored for the Avalanche outside of the first. In the second, 11-3 in favor of the Avs. In the third, 6-4 in favor of the Avs. And then again, in overtime, Dallas stepped it up. They tried to win that game, get it over with as quickly as possible. As far as so that's a great defensive game, I think, for the Avalanche. You only allowed, as far as high danger chances, 2. Like that's where you need to be. You got to help him out. On the other end, Ottinger faced 3 high danger chances from the Avalanche. So defensively, thought it was a pretty decent game.
And honestly, back to Georgiev, and as critical as I have been of him in the past couple of weeks, we have always said you need to go out there and win a game. And I believe this is the closest Georgiev has got to winning a game, of holding on, making good quality saves. If he would have let one more go, if Manson didn't save that 4th goal.
Yeah.
But I honestly think in that second or third, if he let one go by, we'd be having a different tone in this episode. I feel like this could be the closest thing he got to winning a game.
And the overtime. If the overtime didn't happen, I'd be sitting here saying, like, thought he had a good game. But his defense only gave up 3 shots in one period and 4 shots in another one. So he didn't really have to do a ton of work, but he did in that overtime game. So that overtime is really like changing my tune, especially when it's not just your 5-minute overtime 3-on-3. It's playoff overtime. Huge. So when you do that stuff, you talk about confidence. My God. And you gave up the first one. Let's see who
Suter.
Had that first one. Oh yeah, the Suter one, and then Wyatt Johnston. So who henceforth will be known as I'm going to do some Palpatine here. Henceforth will forever be known as Darth Emphasis is what we're going to call Wyatt Johnston from here on out. And then the last one was right off the draw. So, you give up 3 in the first, fine. When you do that, you give the Avalanche too much time to mount a comeback, and they clearly can do that. So
now I need
again,
Parise to go get 2 goals in the battle of the buyout, because you can't have Suter running away with 1 and have Parise walking away with none. I know they have to be chirping each other back and forth.
and he's another guy that I thought had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Zach Parise. Just he always seemed to be there. Always seemed to be around the puck. Did he get an assist on one of those?
I don't.
Let me look that up quickly. I thought
No.
he did not. He didn't. No.
He's actually a -1.
Doesn't matter. Like he just seemed to be in the right place, right time. Didn't screw anything up. So,
Yep.
All right. Last thing to get to, that is our Locked On Avalanche sound check, where Kyle and I pick one song each, which we feel best describes the most recent game. And these songs go up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can follow. Just search LOA Soundcheck volume number 3. These songs are going on. So what do you got for this one, sir?
We are going back to the tried and true, the good old Grateful Dead. And we are going to go Broke Down Palace. Fairly well. I'll leave this Broke Down Palace on my hands and knees. I'll roll. This is the ice in this game. This is not playoff ice. And the boards, I've seen some crazy bounces like for the Islanders, but back in the day in Barclays and stuff, but the boards were weird. The ice was weird. It was just funky like conditions for this game. It was I'm just glad the Avalanche got out of there with a win, because that could have been easily what we could have been talking about for the whole first segment, was how bad that ice was and how bad the quality of play was.
You did see, I don't remember who it was. Just one of those plays where you throw the puck back in your own defensive zone, just get some relief, bring a new line out, a couple new guys out, and someone on the Avs just went down.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who it was. It was oh god, because they said it. It might have been Colton, if I'm not mistaken, but just fell.
Like, Josh Manson did the splits on the blue line.
Yeah.
And like even the cameraman lost the puck because of how it was bouncing off the boards. It's just really weird.
Yeah, they were fighting it. So that's a good one. So for me, I'm going with The Who, and I'm gonna use the song title to celebrate the man who scored the game-winning goal, and that is "I Can See for Miles," because we can see from Miles Wood. And the first line of this song is it fits perfectly. I know you've deceived me. Now here's a surprise. Ooh. And come on now. I mean, we were all surprised that the game winner came from Miles Wood of all people. So
Miles Wood has to have that tattooed on his chest, that first line.
And then "I can see for Miles." I can see for me is what it says on it. So, all right, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for today. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have some more to talk about. I'm sure some locker room snippets that we'll dive into. And of course, the subtext people who are definitely chiming in on this one. We'll get to all that tomorrow and then some, and set everybody up for game 2 as well. All right, that is going to wrap it up for today. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli. Thank you for tuning in to the Locked On Avalanche podcast and making it your first listen of the day. Enjoy the victory. See you guys tomorrow.